This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Your boys all weighed in now. Fowler-Rose is on. I spoke to him yesterday. He sees it as youth v experience. You see it like that as well?
Yeah. You can call it that. It's a fight, isn't it? It's both men have to win. Brian's got the experience. He's boxed at a much higher level. Been successful at a higher level than what Anthony's boxed at yet. So he's got the experience. Fowler's, he's got to show what his potential is in this fight, and he's got to perform and go in there and just deliver.
Feels weird asking you this, Dave, but is his career on the line, Anthony?
Depends on how you want to see it. Remembering this day and age, if you get beat, you kind of finish. If you get beat twice, you definitely finish. That's how everybody sees things. But fighters can still learn and come back. But if he wants to be a matchroom star of the future kind of thing and built up by the television with Sky and things like that, then really he's got to win tomorrow. If he doesn't, then it's a case of going away, rebuilding, and then taking a fight against somebody as an opponent and beating them to get back in. There's always a way back in, but if you're a former Olympian and a successful amateur like he is, to then go into that position of losing 2 fights on a bounce, it's a pretty mighty drop.
Since the loss to Scott Fitzgerald, what have you specifically addressed, if anything?
Well, there's been a lot. The main thing that I'm happy with is his attitude and his mentality. It's a wake-up call. It's all right. Everybody's saying to fighters, "Oh, you need to be more realistic. You got to stop thinking of this, stop thinking of that, stop thinking it's gonna be easy." When they've spent so much time in the amateurs, being groomed as stars and being so successful, don't get he's had a lot of success in the amateurs. So it's quite. Somebody like him, it's quite easy to think that the pros is just gonna. A lot of these Olympians are the same. Just think to get these few fights out of the way, and then you're gonna be fighting for world titles. But you got to remember, other fighters, once you break out of the journeyman mode, other fighters want to win as well, and other fighters are here to stop your advancement in order for their own careers. And if Scott Fitzgerald, if we all said it was a good fighter, but I personally believe that if he'd have listened and if he'd have performed how he had been in the gym, then he would have won that fight. But if he wasn't going to, then I always thought it was a 50-50 fight, and it turned out to be like that. It was a nip and tuck fight, but regardless of the knockdown in that last round, I still thought he'd just lost it. On the night, I thought it could have gone either way. I thought the knockdown lost it but watching it back, without the knockdown, I thought we just lost it. Scott boxed fantastic, and it is what it is. But it's how you learn from that and how he come back from it. And mentally, he's been fantastic. He's accepted it. I've made him watch it over and over again. I've made him realise what he does wrong. I've made him realise it because he didn't want to watch it. You have to watch it. You have to see what Scott was doing to him, and no matter how much it hurts, you have to see it. You have to address it. If you address something, then you can change it. You can change yourself. You can and he has done. And he's I think what it is now is when a fighter gets beat for the first time, if he gets dropped or whatever, then he realises he's not invincible. And again, it's just in a lot of sports, when you have a period of success, then sometimes you can think that you're invincible. You can think, the bright lights and everything, and you can buy into it a little bit. And perhaps he did that a little bit. And in 50-50 fights, you can't afford to underestimate anyone. You can't afford to not even underestimate them. You can't even afford to think that you're better than what you are at certain things, and that you don't have any deficiencies. And now he understands that. And his mentality is better. I can never ever fault him for the way that he trains. For the Fitzgerald fight, can't fault the way that he trained. The sparring, everything against quality opposition. It was fantastic. Everything was fantastic. But he did. It is what it is. He got beat.
Moving on to one of your other fighters, Jordan Gill. A lot of people were very critical of him after he came out and said they had food poisoning. Didn't tell you. How's he been firstly, and what's next for him?
Just waiting for a date now. He's fine now. He's back flying again now. Obviously, it hurt him a lot. People can be critical. If you don't say anything, then people make their own minds up anyway. And when you do say something, then people say you shouldn't be saying anything. You can't win. Ultimately, we've had it with fighters where people don't know what's going on in the background, and the only thing that I'm very critical about him is that he didn't tell me and didn't tell anybody. But I've explained before, he saw what happened with Josh Kelly and how everything was with him when he pulled out on the day of fight. He's had a fight before where he sold £10,000 worth of tickets and then not fought on the night, and all his fans have gone home having paid for coach. He travels. His fans have to travel 2.5 hours to get to the venues. So he didn't want to do it. He had all those sort of emotions, those sort of things in his head. He didn't tell anybody. He thought he can just get through, and if I can fiddle my way through, then that's it. He's got big balls, and sometimes fighters that have got balls and got heart are willing to put themselves into a fight even though they're at a disadvantage, because they don't want to suffer the consequences of what people think on the outside, which is wrong. But he knows that, and he's moved on from that.
Right, Dave, you're needed by someone, so we'll pick this back up in a minute. All right, cool. Cheers. Just picking this back up with Dave Coldwell. That was a long break. Anyways, moving on to another one of your fighters, Dereck Chisora. What a performance last time out against Artis Bilka, when many people weren't sure Dereck was going to come through that fight.
Yeah, listen, a lot of people thought he was going to get beat, and I'll be honest with you, when I was given that opponent, I didn't want that opponent for Dereck, because against the southpaw 10 years ago, he struggled. He didn't like southpaws back then. So with wear and tear, stage of careers, and age, the last thing you want is to be struggling against another southpaw, especially coming off the back of the fight with Gashi. Although, to be fair to Dereck, with the Gashi fight, Gashi's an orthodox fighter, and all the footage that we had on him was all orthodox. And then when he turned up southpaw on fight night, I was like, oh, great. So to be fair, he'd not prepared for that, but it was a fantastic performance. It was an exciting performance and a statement. It made people go, wow, and that's what he needs at this stage of his career. And it looks as though that's going to secure him a big fight now.
A big fight with Chisora-Parker?
It's the fight that Haymaker have been banging on about since before the Spilka fight. I wasn't interested in talking about anything after Spilka, because I knew how hard that preparation was and how tough going it was. There were times listen, honestly, it was only the last 2 spars, so therefore the last 2 weeks of camp, that it all clicked. Before that, it looked terrible. But what I will say is that he kept trying and trying and trying. He kept doing what I was wanting him to do, trying it out, and it was great for the younger fighters in my gym, like your Jordan Gills, your Hopi Prices, and even your Fowlers. It was good for them to see that even though you don't get something at the beginning, keep with it. Don't just keep think, oh, that's not working. I can't. Let me try something else, or revert back to what you would normally do. It showed that if you keep sticking with it, even though you're not getting it, eventually you do get it. And like I said, the last 2 spars, it clicked, he got it, and he looked dynamite in the last 2 spars. And then he carried that in on fight week, nice and sharp. And with the pad sessions that we did, everything was, his movements, everything was great. And then he took it into the fight.
Was it slightly pleasing for you personally as well? Because after the Gashi fight, people were like, oh, what's Dave done with Dereck? And then to go and produce that performance, obviously you had a part to play in that. So was it slightly give you a bit of personal satisfaction as well?
Totally say what's Dave done with everybody. Fucking hell. You've got to remember, Dereck's come from, he's like I said, I'll go back to the Gashi fight, all right. So Dereck's come with me at this stage of his career. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Remember, with Bellew, it took quite a long while before you saw what you got at the end of his career. It takes a bit of time. So first camp, what do we have? Like 8 weeks or so. First camp, doing new things, trying new things, and then getting a southpaw on fight night. It's completely different to what we've been working. So there was nothing there. There was nothing there that we could do. Only thing that I would say is it was patient, and it was not just swinging. Because and subsequently speaking to Gashi, the reason why he went southpaw is because as a southpaw you see that swinging over and right that he throws, whereas at orthodox it can catch because you're closer to it. As a southpaw, you stood there, that over, you have all that time for the southpaw for the over and right to come. So the southpaw sees that, and he was looking for that to count with the left hand. But because Dereck didn't throw that, because of what we've been working on, throwing the right hand more straight, he never gave him that. So then Gashi just went into a negative mode. So you have to set up that overhand right that is honey shot. You have to set that up. But yeah, you're not going to see a lot in the first fight, and to be fair, it takes a bit of gelling with fighters and trainers. So regardless of what people want to say, like I said, people have opinions on trainers are shit and they're not doing anything for that fighter. It is what it is. You can't really take that personally. It's all about, when you've got 1 or 2 fights left in your career, it's all about getting the best you can out of yourself.
Well, we look forward to hopefully announcement soon about Chisora-Parker. Now, I do want to touch on a subject that has dominated the news recently within British boxing, world boxing really, with Dillian Whyte. What was your take on that whole situation?
Fucking hell. Listen, I was absolutely gobsmacked. And it was something that I like Dillian, and I'll hands up. I see him as a mate, and to have seen these reports come through, I was like, what the fuck? What? But right now, it's hard to actually talk about it because I don't know the facts. And I'm same as you, I'm same as everybody that's watching this. If you don't know the facts, you can't put both feet into one pod and say, this is how I feel about it. Because there's so many clouds and smokes and mirrors in this case, it's unbelievable. The major thing that I've got, and I put it out on the tweet, the major thing that I've got is because straight away I was like, number one, the board have let this fight go on. I think that's wrong. Now, when I've been explained to by the board how this UKAD thing works, is that they sign anything off. When they did the agreement, anything anti-doping related is controlled and governed by UKAD, right? So the board, the promoter, everybody else has to adhere to UKAD's rules. So this is my understanding of it. So UKAD have this rule where if sample A comes back with adverse findings, they tell the promoter and they tell the person that's failed. They don't tell the person, the person, because it's confidential. So if you've got a confidentiality agreement and then you break that, you're leaving yourself open for legal stuff, lawsuits, all sorts of things. So, yeah, Eddie Earns, and I'll get slated for sticking up for Eddie Earns. I'm not sticking up for Eddie Earns, I'm not sticking up for anybody. But all I'm trying to do is make sense of it myself, so I kind of understand the process. So if Eddie Earns is going to get sued for it, if the board are going to get sued for it, they have to just, because they're run by, it's governed by UKAD, they have to let UKAD do what they want to do. Exactly. So my fault is, where I lay the blame is, UKAD have got this rule where you don't tell the opponent. I think that's fucked up. And also what I will say is, before you go into an agreement with somebody, surely when the board have gone through with all their legal team, looking at the terms and conditions of this agreement with UKAD, surely there's a clause in there that they see where UKAD's rule is, in the event of a sample A failing, you tell the promoter, you tell the geezer that's failed it, but you don't tell the opponent. Surely, at that point, because when we do negotiate with contracts between promoters and fighters and things like that, trying to get a fight deal, you agree something, you get a contract through, you look through a contract, you say, hang on a minute, I'm not too keen on this clause. If you want the deal to work, that clause gets taken out. Mm-hmm. So surely the board could have said, that needs changing, you need to be able to tell the opponent, because it's not really right that that they can go into the fight and the opponent not have a clue that the other fella's failed a drugs test. So for me, I think that is a massive issue. And then I got told that apparently, and I don't know if it's right, I think it's right, but apparently when after Fury boxed Hamer, I think it is, I'm not sure it's right, but I think it was the Hamer fight or something like that they had the adverse findings in that one, and that's why with this confidentiality, that's why nobody knew about it, and he ended up fighting Klitschko. If I'm right in saying that, I think that's a similar sort of thing, but obviously the fight wasn't on the same night, it was after. But he was still allowed to fight because of this UKAD thing. While you're appealing and you're waiting for the B test and everything, you can carry on because it's like Dillian's been cleared. So the way that I I understand that's a similar sort of thing. But the whole thing for me is the opponent not knowing. If that, and that's where I had the issue with the board, where I rang the board up and I spoke to them and I said, look, I'm a manager and a trainer, and I trust the board to look after my fighters. If that had been me and somebody's failed a drug test, and my fighter didn't know about it, I'm putting my fighter into a fight with somebody who's failed a drug test. I don't know what the ins or outs are of Dillian's drug test. All I keep getting told is, wait for the full story to come out and then you'll understand. There's more, I got told that by several people. So I don't know, I haven't been told yet. I don't know. When it's out there, then we'll kind of like see. But in your head you think, well, if you failed, you failed. And if it's failed and it's bad, then it's fucking bad. Because just because I like somebody, if I've always said that the way that you need to do is you need to categorise these drugs like the police do, and like the legal system is. You categorise drugs. Stimulant, it's not a killer. A stimulant, something off the shelf of a shop you can buy sometimes, and you buy something at Olin & Barrett, and where it's legal for me and you, it's performance enhancing or stimulant from. If it's a stimulant, then a year ban. If it's a PED, for me, your first offence needs to be 4 or 5 years. 4 years, say, right? And then anything harder, like something really bad, then fucking it's got to be bigger. But if you fail twice, I've always said, ban them for life. Because you're not going to get banned for life on one. I know people say, ban them for life. But like I said, you could buy a drink off the shelf for a shop, drink it, and fail a drug test. That's what some fighters have done. I know that for a fact. And that's harsh to be, if it's just through not being smart, that's harsh to be banned for life on. But if it's an actual PED, then yeah, but you're not going to get them to be banned for life. You're going to, first ban, yeah, then the second time, you got to ban them for life. Now, just because Dillian's, I see Dillian as a friend, and I like Dillian, but if he's intentionally took something, and if he's failed something, but if it comes back and he's failed on something bad, and it is legit, and when it comes out, you look at all evidence and it is legit, then you've got to say the same thing, because it's his second fail. But at the same time, everybody's saying wait until it comes out, you will see what it is, because there are these grey areas, and this is the problem with this. It's because it's all cloak and daggers. I don't get what the hold-up is, because there are people out there that know exactly what he failed on, know the circumstances. So he's gone to his hearing. So if he's gone to an hearing, and you kind of looked at it and looked at it and said, okay, it's not as bad as what we thought, whatever it is, blah, blah. I can't figure out what it can be, because that's the whole thing. And we're all just guessing, so your head can be spinning around trying to pick out, if your team BT Sport and Warren, then he's guilty, and he's that's it. If you know the guy personally, then you're trying to look for a way why can he not be guilty? But once we're aware of the evidence and we're aware of what it is, then you can make your mind up, and then you can say, mate, I like you, but you fucked up, and that's because it's all hearsay right now, and I think that's what's hurting the sport and hurting this situation more than anything. It's because nobody could come out and say anything for legal reasons. And again, I'll refer back to the Fury thing. I seem to remember, again, I don't know if I'm 100% right or not, but I seem to remember where there was some sort of legal process where they were going to sue. I think when it came out, I think they were going to sue UKAD or something like that. Once you've got confidentiality agreements and things like that, it's all right people saying you've got a moral obligation to go and speak about it. But if you're going to get sued for shitloads, then that kind of like shuts people's mouths a little bit. And it's all right us on the outside, but you've got to think about the people on the inside and what it means. But ultimately, what I would like is the fighter to have been told. If somebody had gone in and said, listen, I know I've seen Eddie saying, he's been cleared, and if I go in and speak to Rivas, then he might fuck his head up and stuff like that.
But I don't think that's the issue, the fact that he was cleared. I think the issue for Eddie telling them was that it might hurt him legally. Now that's the problem with the system. That's the problem with the system.
That's what I said from the start of this interview. Exactly. It's that rule that's in Ukad'S agreement with the board that needed to have been taken out. But what I'm saying is even if Rivas had been given an option, look, something's come up in his drug test. You have to sign a confidential. This is what I'm saying. The opponent should know as well, and sign a confidentiality agreement. As long as the opponent knows, then it still can be kept in that bubble until it's investigated. But then the opponent has a decision to make. Then, do I want this fight? Yes or no? He's got a decision to make based on facts. He's gone into that fight not knowing. Now the thing that's with this clause in Ukad'S contract agreement, terms, conditions, whatever you want to call it, is if Rivas had gone in and got stretched out like Dave Allen had, fucking hell. And then even worse, if he'd have gone in and got stretched out and been in trouble, suffering an injury, an head injury, wow, what are you doing to this sport? Because that is just, you can't do that. You cannot do that. That's just... And again, it could come back that his findings, it could come back that it's bullshit or whatever. But the point is that he's gone in there with somebody that's failed a sample A, and for me, that's bad. That's the worst thing. Don't get me wrong, and it's because I'm not saying much on Dillian because I don't know the facts. People can say, "Oh, you're skipping about talking about Dillian." I kind of am because I don't know the facts. It's easy to judge when you don't know facts. We do it on everything, but this, because it's people we know, we've got to kind of like think, oh, hang on. But when it comes to with the stuff which I've heard people saying, oh, it's you went in hard on Miller, but you're not saying anything about Dillian. But there wasn't this cloak and dagger thing about Miller. Yeah, it was like blatant. Come out. Then he fails one, then he fails two, then fucking hell, he's failed three. And at first he's saying, I didn't do anything. And then he came out and did it. He was saying that he did himself anyway. Yeah, fair enough. So you can't compare it. There is no cloak and dagger with that. He 100% did it, and it was bad shit. If it comes out that Dillian 100% did it and it was bad shit, then yeah, same. But you got to ban him for life. It's the same thing. But right now, he's kind of not in that position because we don't know. It's only if you want to be tunnel vision and you've got an opinion one way or the other that you can say it. You can't say that he's 100% clear. So the people are all saying, he's not cheated, he's not done this, he's not done. You can't say that because we don't know. But just like the people are saying he's guilty, hang him. You can't say that either because we don't know. And that's the problem that's hurting this is because we don't know. And I don't know how long this is going to go on for. And the longer it goes, the more bullshit it is.
It's very strange because why would you have a hearing, but then why would he be cleared to fight? Those two things don't actually make sense.
But because this is what I'm saying, is because we don't know, we can't make sense of it. Because, it's like something's come up in your sample, you get an hearing sorted, and then it's cleared. Well, they've obviously presented a case for mitigating circumstances. It might, I don't know, but it might be a therapeutic exempt issue. I can't see it being that because that would have been you would have filled that out, and unless I don't know what it is, and that's the thing, and that's why I've kind of like kept quiet. My issue that I can be bold and vocal about is UKAD and the board agreeing to this, where only the two parties, promoter and the team that's failed, are informed. It has to be the third party. It has to be the opponent. It has to be.
Well, you say that. I spoke to Mark Tibbs today, and even he didn't know about the hearing.
So if he didn't know about it, how can we know what's going on? How can we know? The only people that know are the people that are in that hearing, because they've seen it firsthand. Because I presume they told you failed on this, blah blah blah, and then the response has been this, and then you look at it, and it is what it is. The people that are saying, it's it's in Eddie's pocket and all that sort of shit. He ain't that powerful. Don't give him fucking enough reasons to have a bigger ego than what he's got. Right? He ain't that powerful to be able to control UKAD. You know, it's an independent and that kind of shit. You know, the board haven't got power when it comes to UKAD. So Eddie Hernan and it's just like I said. I think the UKAD thing's a load of bollocks. I don't think that ruling should ever been put in place. They've left themselves wide open, and you know it needs addressing. That needs changing straight away. So, because by my understanding, if the same thing happens again on Friday night, so does that mean that either party's not going to be told again? You can't do that. They have to have prior knowledge. But it has to be tidied up and cleaned up quicker, because again, when somebody's failed and then ends up, because it's still going under investigation and going through the legal proceedings, which we all know takes ages, if they're cleared to fight, even though there's been adverse findings, they're just waiting to clear up sample B or whatever it is, and then in a few months' time they can go and fight and win a title. Why should they have fought? But that's the potential. You could literally be fighting for a world title in 2 months' time, having failed your sample A last week in your fight, and you're still going to go in and fight for a world title, and you could win that world title off the champion, and then it comes out after that you've failed a test and stuff. I don't know. It's just complicated. It's bullshit. That little bit is bullshit.
There is a very strong argument whether the results come back completely clean, whether he's failed, that fight should have been called off, because we still don't know what the outcome was. So surely UKAD and the board are still trying to see what's happened there. So if there's any chance of the fact that he's failed a test, surely he should not be allowed to get in the ring.
I agree with that, yeah. But that's like I said, so that's not what happened, but that's what should have happened. 100%. If you failed a drug test, until... I don't get this, you fail sample A, but... Well, you can still box, yeah. Because if you fail sample A and you're still allowed to box, right now, we don't know what sample A was. Just hypothetically speaking, we don't know what sample A was. And then you go out there and you do damage on the guy that you've just fought. And then it comes back, your sample A contained this, and you're injecting, you're doing everything. Fucking hell. That's what you're leaving yourself open to. So it makes me think, well, in this hearing, what could have been in that sample? I know it's all internet. We don't know. It's one man saying, "Oh, he failed on Dynaball," but we don't actually know, because nobody's come out that knows anything has come out and said it. So it might not be. That might have just been bullshit, because you know as well as me, you could just go and say something in an interview and say this. I mean, it's like Spencer Fearon, right? Listen, I love Spencer, but I seen him when he said somebody told him that Reeves failed his test. But I've not seen it anywhere else. Not even one whisper. So what I'm saying is, somebody could just say it was Dynaball, but it might actually be something fucking like another stimulant, like something. Yeah, I don't know, but it could be. I'm not saying it is. Don't say that I'm trying to stick up for him. I'm just trying to make sense of the variables. But this is what I'm saying. When somebody says something, it can catch fire. And I'm hoping, I'll be honest with you, I'm hoping that's what it is. Because Dylan's waited all this time to get a world title cry.
They've suspended him in WBC.
Now they've suspended him, and he's got to show a lot of patience now. And if he has not done anything wrong, then I want it to come out that he's not done anything wrong. And I want people to go, oh, fuck it, oh, right, okay. Because... But if he has, then it's been stupid, man. If he has, because you get that close, but you kind of have to sit on that fence, because I don't know which way to fall yet. But going back to what you said, 100%. If you fail a sample A, can it? Don't care. Can it? You have to can it. My initial reaction was, what the fuck have you done? Why? How have you let that go? And like I said, there's been an hearing, and UKAD have turned around and said you're cleared to fight. But I saw an interview with Eddie where he said, and I understand because I've been a promoter, I understand, and with contracts we're between two parties, right? So if he's got these two fighters to a contract to fight, and they've not breached anything in that contract, if Dillian Whyte's been cleared to fight, then he's cleared to fight. So then as a promoter, if you then turn around, well, I'm not putting a show on, they can then sue you for that. So it's kind of like in a catch-22. So he's getting a real hard time about it from all angles, from different things. But it's not on this occasion. It's not really people. It's all right. People say, "Oh, morally, you should have told him," but it's the rules that by the governing operator. It's the governing body is UKAD when it comes to anti-doping. Like I said, the board, everybody has to adhere to UK anti-doping rules, and that's what they've had to do. So it's kind of like in handcuffs a little bit, a bit like everybody else. I know people at the board would like to have their name cleared and things coming out of what's happening, because they feel as though they're getting the blame. But it's UKAD's. For me, it starts at the top. UKAD needs to sort that shit out, because you can't have it confidential unless you can make it confidential, make the bubble include the opponent. But it's such a tricky thing to talk about, because you don't actually know what you're talking about, because you don't know the facts.
Well, let's hope that he is proven innocent. But regardless of that, I think we've kind of suggested in this interview that UKAD's ruling needs to change, basically.
It's got to. And if you're UKAD, I would hope that UKAD this week have had a big meeting between whoever runs UKAD and said, yeah, we fucked up. We've got away with it until now. It was a mistake. Hold your hands up. Take that ruling out. Include the opponent. You can still keep it confidential, because it seems like with certain tests and things, it has been kept confidential really well, and with certain elements, with certain fights. Just extend it to the opponent, and the opponent has to know. He then has a choice. Well, yeah, I'll fight, or no, I'm not fighting. But ideally, the show would have been cancelled. But again, you then leave yourself open to lawsuits, because if it's confidential, then you can't then explain to yourself why I'm cancelling the show. I can't then say to all the fans and everybody, I've cancelled the show because it's confidential. You can't then say to TV, because it's confidential, and you can't break them sort of clauses, because the repercussions can be quite big.
Do agree with it. With everything you said, Dave Coldwell, thank you very much for talking to IFL. Wish you the best of luck with Anthony tomorrow night. I'm sure we'll catch you right after.
Cheers, mate.